More people are using that power to cheat rather than to like grow themselves.
What do you see with developers that don't necessarily have a good understanding of high-level languages, for example, and kind of just solely rely on vibe coding?
People just don't have thinking skills to solve anymore. And I think the long-term consequences of that are going to be very interesting.
Is AI making us dumber?
Damn.
Today, I sat down with Navi to discuss why coding still matters in this AI age. And if you're someone who's uncertain about software engineering, this video is for you. Because Navi has cracked interviews at companies like Google and Amazon, and he's also helped hundreds of other people crack interviews at big tech companies and Forbes 50 companies. And now, you might already know him through his YouTube channel or through his NeetCode DSA prep product, which is pretty cool, by the way. Definitely check it out. But he definitely knows what companies are looking for in 2026 when hiring a software engineer. And he's also gone and talked with professionals in the field to understand where the shift is taking place and what skills companies want in new engineers. So without further ado, let's get into why coding still matters. So I'll just get right into the questions. This one is just a very vague one, but does coding still matter in 2026 and why?
I think so, because coding was always just about like the language. Like programming was the way that we kind of communicated an idea to solve a problem. And the level of abstraction was always changing. And so right now, where a lot of people aren't handwriting code anymore, and they're not even necessarily reading that code, which I think that is probably going a step too far. But there's still a lot of concepts that go into solving these problems today. There's a lot of like architectural decisions that go into it. There's edge cases, and it's great that we can just in human language just ask a question about a code base and usually get a pretty precise answer back. But I think it definitely still matters in the sense that programming was just a way of thinking algorithmically or thinking about different cases. I think it definitely does still matter in terms of like being a problem solver and being a thinker.
So I actually recently watched a video of yours where you talked about learning DSA, for example, or going through leak code questions. It doesn't necessarily always exactly translate to what you do on the job, but it gives you a certain mindset or like a problem solving skill set that does translate on the job. So I'm curious, like with AI getting better and better each year, how do you see like the mindset of a coder translating to like your work at an enterprise level?
Yeah, I think from a lot of the friends that I speak to are still working in big tech, and the work that I'm doing with a few developers on my own projects, I think it definitely still matters. I still am catching things in code reviews. I'm catching like architectural decisions. I'm catching performance issues. And these aren't just like hypothetical things. Like we've pushed things to production, and then seen like all of a sudden all of our API calls are taking like 5 seconds and it's crashing the site. And so we very quickly roll that back. But if you're not a technical person and if you're just completely a vibe coder, you're going to run into those issues, and you're almost always going to run into an issue that the model can't trivially solve. And once that happens, if you don't have any problem solving skills and you never develop those problem solving skills, you basically have zero chance of being able to get through that issue. And I think the exact same thing is true when you get to a really difficult coding interview problem or a leak code problem. If you never develop the problem solving skills to be able to think through a problem and kind of have an idea of what the solution might be, you basically have zero chance. It's like trying to solve a problem where you don't know the prerequisite algorithm or data structure. And so I think it's pretty dangerous for people to say that you literally don't need to know any sort of technical skills. You don't need to look underneath the hood, and you can just live at this higher level of abstraction, which we know is very much non-deterministic, not to mention the costs that are kind of being associated with it now. And a lot of people are pushing back on that as well.
Yeah, no, that totally makes a lot of sense. So my next question is, or what do you see with developers that don't necessarily have a good understanding of high-level languages, for example, and they kind of just solely rely on vibe coding? What kind of issues do you see with these type of developers? Because I know there's like a wide range of like really, really expert engineers and maybe more beginner engineers.
Yeah, I think there's a very like wide variety of issues. I think the single most important one is security. And we're definitely starting to see that a lot of people are leaking their API keys or not knowing what they're doing. And as soon as you tell the LLM, like, okay, hey, you kind of just leaked all my stuff, then it'll tell you, like, oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. I did. But until then, it's not like you still have to understand that it's not like a person. It's not going to keep learning as you tell it stuff. The models are getting better, but they're always trained on code. They can't just solve a problem that they have no training data on. I think it's very important for people to be cautious about it. I think vibe coding is nice. It's nice that somebody who has very little technical experience can create a website now and do even more complicated things than that, but we should still be pretty cautious because I think it is not going to be a great world where every site has like massive security issues. And we're not just seeing this with people who are non-technical, but even like big companies like AWS are having issues because people just aren't paying as much attention. And I think this becomes like a social problem where management is just pushing people to go as fast as possible and not really considering all the side effects of that.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Before we continue, I'd like to take a second to thank today's sponsor, HubSpot. Now, we've been talking about why coding is still relevant in the engineering field today, despite LLMs being widely available. But that being said, you still have to have a solid understanding of AI tooling in the workplace to succeed. Things like agent orchestration, RAG, and more. And HubSpot actually has the perfect guide for that, and it's totally free. They go over things like prompting, building an AI agent workflow, and even setting up multi-agent orchestration for your needs. The part that I find most helpful, because I've talked about using agents and how important they are for a software engineer, is the 7-Agent Tools cheat sheet. It's literally a comprehensive guide into getting started with Claude Cowork, ChatGPT Agent Mode, Manus, OpenClaw, and Zapier, and more. They include things like OpenClaw's features and prompts to get started. So you can see, for example, on Tool 4 for OpenClaw, who should use this and the key features and use cases. And then it gives you some starter prompts here, which I think are extremely helpful. They also give you a quick comparison between tools and pro tips to get started with these tools. So if you're someone that doesn't know how to start with integrating AI into your workflow, then you definitely want to check out HubSpot. I've included a link in the description below. Now back to the video. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, like, play devil's advocate a little bit. So some people might say that learning to code is like learning binary or assembly at a very deep level, or learning how to ride a horse instead of drive a car. So how do you respond to people that say something like that?
Yeah, I think being overly obsessed with things like syntax, those types of like maybe certain minor details, that isn't as important. But I think programming is very fundamental when you think about it. You have things like variables, you have data, you have control flow, you have conditional statements, loops, and just the idea of like a hash map, key value pairs, and stuff like that. And these ideas are very fundamental. You see them everywhere, whether it's in databases, performance, the concept of something happening at runtime versus at compile time, and like a lot of like really fundamental concepts. And so I think it's hard to know. It's very hard to know. Like if I look back at my life, I can point to certain things like I never really used that, or I never really used this either. But I think if you want to be like a thinker and you want to solve like problems and you want to have like a general understanding that can translate to other domains and other disciplines, I think it is very much worth learning how to program. I think there are plenty use cases for it, even if you don't directly end up using certain hard skills in your life. Like if you're not typing out the exact syntax of something that you forgot many years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like we underestimate like the critical thinking and problem solving that we gain from coding. Like even if you're not a developer, like let's say you're doing a completely different job, maybe you're a journalist, for example, but you take a coding class. I feel like that gives you a completely new perspective on how use your detective skills to figure out, what's going on for like a story. I think coding helps you through debugging, for example, to figure out, what's going on with this story. So yeah, for sure. Is there a version of the future where people can still learn critical problem solving skills without learning how to code? Because you also mentioned like maybe syntax isn't as important, which kind of brings me back to like when you're in the middle of an interview process. I think like a lot of people talk about how the most important part is writing the pseudocode or like talking through the steps in which how you're going to solve the problem. And then not as important part is, I guess, like actually writing the code, because if you don't understand the problem solving aspect, it doesn't really matter if the code is correct or not.
Yeah, I guess there's a couple things that I think of. One is that like reading to code has always been harder than writing code. And so now that we're just producing massive amounts of code, it's just not going to be feasible for somebody to go through and read it. And the other thing is that people always learn by doing. Like nobody ever really, really learns by just watching a video or reading something. You have to actually do. And so let's say we move to like a higher level of abstraction. We're not so focused on like the syntax details. There still is going to be thought involved in that and a lot of doing involved in that, in the sense of like, okay, like what am I doing at a high level? Okay, I'm going to create a REST API and these are the endpoints that I want it to have. And this is how I want it, like the format to be the interface. Maybe I have some kind of like persistent connection. Okay, am I going to use WebSockets or am I going to use like server-side events? And why am I going to be doing that? I think these are sometimes these are design decisions that sometimes the LLM will make for you, which can be fine, but I think, so how do you know if it's making the right decision? Because sometimes it'll just guess. It's going to require discipline. And I've seen a lot of people, myself included, starting to do this more, where instead of just having the LLM just do everything for you, you really, you question it. You have it teach you at the same time that you're implementing things. And then you have an idea of what the consequences are, what the trade-offs are that you're actually making. So I think nobody has it figured out right now. I certainly don't, but I think it's very much worth taking a few extra minutes to actually have an idea of what's going on. And I know people, especially at work, they have deadlines to meet. And so if that's the case, it's just not possible to maybe go through every line of code. And maybe you don't have to. Maybe there's just some trivial function that can be abstracted to a really small leak code problem or something. And LLMs are pretty good at that. So maybe you don't need to be as thorough about that. I think there's a lot of thinking still that people should be doing, and people should be disciplined about that.
Mm-hmm. Follow-up question to that. Is AI making us dumber?
I think it definitely is. I think almost everybody can probably agree with that. And maybe it's worth it. Like I use a GPS to drive everywhere and I can kind of still navigate with signs. I never really learned how to drive without a GPS, to be honest. And maybe that's fine because you don't need to know how to do everything. That's the beauty of technology, that you kind of solve a problem so then you can start thinking about other things. But at the same time, I think people have like a natural tendency to be lazy and to not think about other things. And so I think it definitely is making us lazy. And I think the long-term consequences of that are going to be very interesting. I think it might be possible that we just have a lot of like really bad software, or a lot of really problems everywhere that people just don't have the thinking skills to solve anymore.
Okay, another follow-up question then. Do you see the introduction of AI as a similar event to the introduction of the internet, or do you think these are like two completely different things?
I think it definitely feels pretty different. I grew up using the internet a lot, so I saw like the evolution of it. I think AI definitely feels fundamentally different because it's impacting thinking in general. But I guess there are similarities in the sense of like people used to have to go to the library and find the right book that they're looking for. And then after that, we had search engines and you didn't really need to do that. And now we have LLMs, which basically just condense like all of human knowledge into something that you can just ask questions. So I think that's great. I think that aspect of it is really, really great. But it seems like people aren't really taking advantage of that. More people are using that power to cheat rather than to like grow themselves.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you guys liked that interview. If you want to see more conversations with engineers, founders, and just experts in the tech and AI field, leave a comment below. I'm living in Greece right now, so I can't do a lot of in-person interviews, but I'll definitely make those virtual interviews happen for you guys. So until next time, see ya.